What is up, crew? Today is Monday, October 16th. We're doing our live early today. How are we doing, Courtney?
Hi, we're doing good. Happy Monday, everybody.
Good Monday. We're going to check and double check, make sure we actually live in the group here. There it is. I see it. Let's get that pinned up to the top so everybody gets to watch the live. Trying a new time today. Hopefully, 3 o'clock on the East Coast and noon on the West. Hopefully we can get a few more folks. Maybe you're not in the middle of dinner time. You're not watching Monday Night Football. You're not putting your kids to bed. Hopefully this is a little better time to, get everybody in the middle of their workday. So here we are. Give us a comment or a like or a thumbs up or something if you're into the new time or whatever. So what do we got on the docket today, Courtney?
We wanted to talk about how real estate as an industry can stay current when it comes to marketing tools and technologies and all of that kind of stuff. And I want to preface that with the fact that, we run a Facebook group. We also have a training program. None of that is the point of this conversation. Just full disclaimer. We keep seeing in all the Facebook groups that TJ and I participate in a growing conversation about, oh my God, I didn't even know blank could do that. Or what's the best way to blank? And agent to agent, one of my favorite things about working in real estate is that it's very collaborative because from market to market, you're not competitors in any way. So it's very open source. Coke and Pepsi are not in a Facebook group together talking about their best marketing practices. Audi and BMW are not hanging out in a Facebook group. But in real estate, it's just part of the culture. The whole industry works together. And I think that that's amazing. However, as an agent, I could see that being really, really, really overwhelming. Because you can be in one Facebook group and have somebody saying one thing, and then you're in another Facebook group and you have somebody saying something completely contradictory worked for them. How are you supposed to know? So TJ and I, you and I were talking about how do you sort through that? How should an agent spend their time? What's the best way to get the best information? And how do you even prioritize that process to figure out what the hell you're supposed to be doing on a day-to-day basis? And how do you know what's going to work for you in your business and in your market? So that was the topic of the day, and I open that can to you, TJ, as the original founder of this group.
We can we'll start, I guess, in general terms, and obviously I'll hit the organic side. So SEO and kind of organic strategies in general are one of these things where it has evolved over time, and it has taken a long time to reach the point that it's at now. And by definition, man, Google holds all the cards, right? If we're going to talk strict SEO. And so they can change the rules whenever they want. And we've talked about algorithm updates, and we've gone over that a little bit. But that is a constant thing, right? We don't know exactly what's in the algorithm. Google doesn't tell us specifically. But the industry has gotten pretty good over the years at kind of running experiments to test and see what we can prove or at least, make educated guesses about. And so one of the things Google does is they'll confirm when enough speculation happens in the industry, like we think this is true. After a while, Google will usually say, yeah, you guys have it right, or like, well, you're close, and they'll kind of help us out. And in one of the things they have done over the years in regards to those confirmations and algorithm kind of speculation is they now tell us about how often they're going to update the algorithm. They used to be these big waterfall dumps. Every a year or two, they'd push out these massive updates to the algorithm, and everyone would scramble to try to get on board. Now they're doing it on a much more regular basis, and they're using like AI and machine learning to do it. It's not these big waterfalls. It's these constant little changes. And we know that they're happening about 500 times a year, which comes out to about every 18 hours. There's some change to the algorithm update. So how is anyone supposed to keep track of that every 18 hours, especially when they're not listed publicly anywhere? So how our industry does it, how the SEO and the organic teams and marketers out there, how we do it is we kind of collaborate. What's everybody seeing? We get in these forums and blogs and groups like the ones you're talking about, and we just pick each other's brains. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what my data shows. Here's what my analytics are doing. What about you? And we put our heads together and we do our best to come up with a conclusion for why we're seeing what we're seeing. And then we try to corroborate it, get a response, all this stuff. But the point for us is that it takes a village. Nobody can do it alone, and we have to put our heads together and collaborate with these other teams. So if you're a real estate agent, I mean, that's a full-time job. I have a full-time job, and what I've just described is part of it. And I would never expect a real estate agent or a dentist or a lawyer or anybody else who has a different full-time job to be able to keep up with the things that take me a full-time job, to keep up with. So how do we do it? I mean, we identify players in the industry that are thought leaders and have access to the high-level people and kind of follow what they write, follow what their videos say, subscribe to their blogs, go to their conferences, and identify these folks and just kind of hang on every word. But again, it can be a full-time job too, right? That's the stuff I read at night and on the weekends, and things to try to educate myself and get better with.
Well, and it's so funny you say that about Google, because Facebook's actually the exact opposite with their advertising platform. They are so transparent. They lay that crap out word for word. Here's what we just did. Here's why we did it. And those of us that are advertising, like I'm running, oh gosh, I don't even know how many ad accounts right now. So when things start to change, I see it happening. And then lo and behold, we'll get an announcement from Facebook. And a lot of that communication is happening, like you said, at the agency level, not with the individuals using an ad account. Like, you may have no idea that it happened, but someone like myself, who is on a training call every month with someone from Facebook talking about what changed, I invest thousands of dollars a year in keeping those updates in front of my face so that I can do the best for my clients, right? But then we share that with the individual agents, right? So there are quite a few people that you use the term thought leaders, and I don't mean that like, ooh, TJ and Courtney are so cool. It's just how we make our living. You guys are real estate agents. You're not a marketing agency. So tapping into those resources, and there are a lot of them out there. Like, TJ, I know you and I are in a lot of different Facebook groups in common, that there are just some kick-ass people sharing and giving and interviewing people that are doing things at a high level and bringing these truth bombs directly from Google and from Facebook. And truthfully, from people who are doing these things in other industries, because there are things to be learned from someone who sells e-commerce or is marketing a plumber, or there's always something to be learned, right, from other people's experience. But I think if I'm the individual agent or the agent team and I'm trying to take this on myself, I think there's a couple of keys. First, find people that you trust to give you direction, whether those are other agents or mentors or coaches, or, like I know the name Lori Valin came up several times in our chat about this call. People like TJ and myself, like people that are working at these tools at a high level and are bringing that truth to you. It doesn't have to cost money. Most of us are out there giving it away, right? When things update and things change, like I had dropped in the group the other day, like, hey, there's something going on with the lead ads. If you're having trouble, stay tuned. I'm going to let you guys know when it's fixed. That's just because I was trying to do it for 4 different stinking clients that same day. So I noticed that it was happening, and I managed to get Facebook on, like, actually get engaged with somebody at Facebook to tell me what was going on. So find people that you trust, get into their Facebook groups, and pay very, very close attention to the conversations. It can be a big job and a big chore to keep up. But if you're not keeping up, you're going to lose track of the tool and the ball's going to bounce away, right? The other piece of it is deciphering the community of other agents. I get questions a lot, TJ, of I see so-and-so doing blank. Is it going to work for me?
Yeah.
Or so-and-so got blank leads off of blank site for blank dollars, or whatever the sentence is. Will it work for me? So how do they sort through that, TJ? How can they possibly sort through 2 million licensed agents in the US saying, follow this shiny object, it got me to the other side? How do you possibly keep up and know whose advice to follow and what to try for yourself?
Right. Well, in organic terms, I'm sure it'll be a little bit different for the paid side, but you got to qualify all of that through your own market, your own expertise, your own experience and knowledge, and say, well, if you are dangling this carrot in front of the 30, under 30 crowd, but the carrot is aimed at, downsizers and retirees, well, that's just a mismatch, right? So right away you can kind of rule out a few of those things based on your market and your niche and who you're trying to reach. And then after that, it comes down to, like, you've got a list of 5 or 6 things that sound right, that sound like they could work for you. You have to start testing. Marketing is kind of the science of psychology and business merged together. You've got to be able to test your campaigns and your projects and figure out which ones are working. And you have to prove that based on measuring the results. And there's no difference here, right? If you see the shiny carrot that somebody's dangling in front of somebody, well, okay, but how do we know that one's right for you? My answer to that is you've got to test. Pre-qualify, rule out a few, It's like the multiple choice SAT test or something. If you have to guess, make sure you guess from only 2 and not out of 4 or something. Cross out a few that you know are wrong, and then you can start to test, and you've improved your chances of success right away.
Very true. Yeah, and that's testing. I mean, I feel like we're a broken record on that subject. Test, test, and then test some more.
Yep. Test early, test often.
Test early, test often, and it never stops testing. And that's, I think, a challenge for agents who are working with limited minutes and limited dollars to accept that that's part of the process. I was having a chat with one of my clients lately that we were talking about, the frequency of like a Zillow lead versus the frequency of a lead in a machine you're trying to build for yourself. And that was exactly how the conversation went, is like, okay, so you pay Zillow every single month for those leads, and you are investing in their machine over and over and over and over. There is someone sitting at Zillow maximizing that website, that copy, that placement, those colors, those fonts. There's someone sitting at Zillow, and you are investing in that machine every day that you give Zillow $1. In contrast, you're not seeing all the growing pains there, but if you're doing it yourself, you're feeling that dollar because it's coming directly from you into the ATM, and no money might be coming out yet. So either way, you're investing in a machine, right? We talk about, somebody that's writing their own content, or they're paying somebody to write content or do keyword analysis or whatever it is on the content side. You're either paying into the machine yourself, or you're paying someone else's machine to generate the results. Those are your two choices. It's really that simple. You can buy a Boomtown website. And this is not hating on Boomtown. They're a phenomenal product. This is not intended as a negative statement at all. But you buy into a Boomtown website, you're paying for the people that built that site, the people that maintain that site, the customer service that support that site. You're paying someone to run your Google AdWords, and you're paying Google for the right to run those ads. You're still writing those checks. But if it's your own website, you're managing it, you're paying someone for the hosting, you're running your own ads and spending the time to learn and execute those plans, and you're still paying Google. So see, I'm still writing 5 checks.
Some of them just happen to go to yourself, right?
Sometimes can be this team over here, that's all they do all day.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of, that's not advocating either option, because if you're a skilled marketer, particularly if you come from a marketing background prior to real estate, a lot of this stuff is going to make sense to you pretty quickly. And you're going to look at that ad copy, what you wrote for your ad, and be like, oh, that sucks. And you're going to go, and you're going to fix it. And you're going to be able to write well if you want to lean into a content strategy. Like, there are skills that will lend themselves to not necessarily being an SEO specialist, but to have success in SEO, right? But the moral of the story is follow the right people and test things in your own market, and give them time to show their value before you give up and move on to something else. Agents are not the most patient population I've ever met, TJ.
I mean, who is, right? Who is at this point? Who's got time to sit and wait? But, especially the phrase I heard, I forget where I heard it. I think it might have been from Chris Smith, a curator. He called it the microwave generation, or the microwave society, or something. Just you expect to be able to throw it in, hit a button, and 30 seconds later you have these results. And great, that works for popcorn. It probably doesn't work for your business. You got to be able to think a little bigger. I really like that machine analogy that you've used. And to me, it's almost like the difference between building a machine and buying a machine. Right. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, you've got to make that investment, and you have a whole lot more control when you build it yourself, but it takes a lot more work, work.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's a matter of, I use a bus analogy too. All agents are aiming to fill a bus full of people. So what kind of bus do you want? And do you want to buy a bus ticket to get on somebody else's bus? Or do you want to buy your own bus? Right. Mm-hmm. You need the shell and the seats and the steering wheel and the tires and the roof. Like, either way, you end up with a bus full of people, but do you own the bus or does somebody else? That's really the moral of the story. Pros and cons, I suppose. But we did have an interesting case study on TJ in our group.
Right. Actually, let me go look. So I want to credit where it's due here. Who asked this question? It was Scott Cunningham. Asked about using lead quizzes. Now, you have experience, direct experience with using that actual product and service and whatever. And I have some general knowledge of it, but I don't have the experience you have. So I want to let you run with this one. But the question is, what about using quizzes in any format? I'll zoom out a level from Scott's question. Quizzes in any format to generate leads, generate some interaction, some shares, some eyeballs, or maybe more specifically that company, the lead quizzes company. What about doing that? And has anybody used the strategy and does it work? And what do you recommend? So in your experience, what have you found and what would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, lead quizzes in theory is a great thing. Their whole MO is that a quiz is engaging, right? We all click on those dumb BuzzFeed things like which Disney princess should make your breakfast or whatever. You know, we've all clicked on them. So something that's a little more topical and helpful should, in theory, be a great converting lead tool, right? So they've got dozens of these canned quizzes that you can start with. There's 3 or 4 in there that are real estate. So in theory, that's great. You literally run an ad. What blank are you? And they go to this quiz. When they get to the end of the quiz, if they want their result, they have to submit their contact information. So, you know, Scott brought this out as a, hey, anybody tried this? Fantastic way to get information. Just ask. And I responded as an agency owner, look, I've tried these for a couple different people. I haven't had great success, but I know a lot of people have. Keep the conversation open, right? And it snowballed into this, hey, let's collaborate on this. Why don't we all try some things and keep each other in the loop? Because I only ran them in a couple of markets. There's about a bajillion other markets in the US. They might have worked fine. There might have been something about the reputation of the agents that I was running them for that was keeping people from me. Like, who knows? There's so many variables involved. So I loved the way that conversation went because I came in and was like, hey, this is my expert opinion. And you guys were like, nah, I'm going to go ahead and try this.
No, we're good. We're good.
I loved that because there is no right answer. I had an agent I was training today that was asking me, just tell me what I need to do. I'm like, I can't. Right. I can't. There is no formula. There is no dial this number and get the results that you want. It just doesn't work that way. So I commend all of you guys that were involved in that conversation because I thought it was so great. And you know, the contribution of me making the comment of, hey, make sure you're careful with fair housing. Those are the kind of contributions you're going to get from other agents on an idea that you may not even think about. Something as simple as where should you live? Yeah, you're steering people into a neighborhood. You could lose your license for that if you don't do it. You know what I mean? If you don't give it that consideration from the front of how you're phrasing things and all that kind of stuff. So minor note, always be careful about fair housing when you're doing this stuff. Don't take the risk. They are cracking down, or we'll just say cultural climate currently. They're really cracking down on some fair housing things nationwide. So be careful. But yeah, so gold star to everybody involved in that conversation. We thought it was great. And, you know, as you guys are testing things together, TJ and I are here to give our 2 cents, but we are by no means the last word on anything. Thank goodness. What if we were the last word, TJ? Ah!
I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. I could be on that. So listen, I also want to thank Wade. Wade, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I'm going to guess that it's Schumpert. So apologies if I have gotten it wrong. But Wade is posting an example of some of the quizzes that he is working on or has ideas for anyway. And I love the collaboration. I love the sharing. I love the kind of group method there. So Wade, keep it up. Thank you very much. And for everybody else, Scott, thanks for asking the question. A few others had comments in there too. So this has been a good one. I love seeing this stuff. Let's keep this one going. Love it.
Yeah. And TJ, you and I have said from the start when we started working in this group and some others that we hang out in, we really only have one objective, and that's to bring this whole industry higher. When we all do better, we all do better. There's so many people not doing it right, and it makes the industry look bad. And it makes them look like the professionalism suffers of the whole industry. So I think that when we all do better, we will all do better. So let's help each other get there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. You're absolutely right. And I couldn't agree anymore. I saw a survey maybe 3 weeks ago or something of like most trustworthy industries and least trustworthy industries. And on the top of the list of least trustworthy was like marketing and real estate. I was like, great. What if you specialize in real estate marketing? Awesome. So thanks, America. But here we are. We gotta raise the bar, right? You and I are trying to do that for everybody. So let's start a movement.
And it's amazing too, because a real estate agent, when they're sitting in the listing presentation, is claiming to be a marketing professional.
Yep.
And then I meet ones that are like, I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, they are by definition marketing professionals, just maybe don't have all of their ducks in a row yet, but who can blame, Larry? This is what we're talking about, right? You have 2 full-time jobs, maybe 3, right? Sales and marketing and all of the logistics and expertise and knowledge that has to go.
Service, right?
Having your license and not violating fair housing laws and all this. That's an entire law degree almost of stuff that realtors are experts at that I'm not. So kudos to you guys.
They're superheroes. Right. That's why we love them.
That's it. So, hey, listen, if I'm going to take one more chance, if I might, Courtney, I'm going to plug that I am out at a conference starting later this week out in Utah, and I cannot wait to tell you all about it when I get back. It's going to be awesome. So,
Facebook Live Monday, TJ dropping knowledge bombs from his conference.
That's right. I know we have some overlap in our group here with the Snap Pack. So for those who are in the Snap Pack and are going out to the Mastermind out in Utah, I will see you there, and I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.
The Crew Heart Snap Pack.
Yeah. All right. We good?
That's all I got today, sir.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Happy Monday. Let's finish it out and have a great week.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week.